Everything is finally good. The relationship is stable. The anxiety has quieted. The chaos that used to define your days has somehow, impossibly, settled. And instead of feeling relieved, you feel dread. A quiet, humming, unshakable dread that sits in your chest and whispers, "This won't last." So you pick a fight that didn't need to happen. You pull away from someone who is getting close. You miss the deadline. You make the call you knew would cause damage. And the good thing collapses. And somewhere beneath the guilt, somewhere you would never admit, there is the faintest feeling of relief. Because now you have a problem to solve. And solving problems, you know how to do. Being happy, that is the thing that terrifies you most. You are not broken. You are not secretly choosing suffering. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is, it was designed for a world you no longer live in. This is the survival mechanism. And this video is going to change how you see yourself forever. The human brain is not built for happiness. It is built for prediction. There is a critical difference. A brain that can predict what comes next, even if what comes next is painful, feels safer than a brain that cannot predict anything at all. This is why people who grew up in high stress, unpredictable, or chaotic environments, homes with conflict, emotional instability, financial crisis, or constant tension, don't just survive those environments. They adapt to them. The nervous system recalibrates. It raises its baseline. Crisis becomes the new normal. High alert becomes the resting state. Tension becomes, not a warning, but a signal that things are working as expected. The brain essentially concludes, this is what life is. This is what home feels like. This is what I know how to navigate. And then you grow up. You work hard. You build something better. You create a life with less crisis in it. And your nervous system, still calibrated to the old world, looks at this quiet, healthy, stable life and does not feel reward. It feels suspicion, because calm was never safe before. Calm, in the old environment, was the pause before the argument, the silence before the door slammed, the stillness before everything fell apart. So your nervous system learned, correctly, at the time, that calm means something bad is coming. That peace is not a destination. It is a warning. Psychologists call this a hypervigilant nervous system. A nervous system that continues scanning for danger even after the danger is gone. Like a soldier home from war, still checking every corner of a quiet room, still jumping at sudden sounds, still unable to sit with their back to a door. The war is over, but the body doesn't know that yet. And in that gap, between the life you have built and the life your nervous system still believes you are in, self-sabotage is born. Gay Hendricks, a psychologist and author, described something he called the upper limit problem. The idea is this: every person has an internal thermostat for happiness, a set point, a level of joy, love, success, and peace that feels normal and acceptable to them. When life drops below that set point, they work to bring it back up. They solve problems. They push forward. They fight for better. But when life rises above that set point, when happiness becomes more intense than the nervous system considers safe, something activates. Not consciously, not deliberately, but powerfully. A subconscious ceiling is hit, and the brain, trained to believe that this level of good is somehow wrong, undeserved, or dangerously temporary, pulls the lever, creates a problem, starts a fight, introduces doubt, manufactures a crisis. Anything to bring the temperature back down to a level that feels manageable. This is what people describe as waiting for the other shoe to drop. When life is going well, genuinely, measurably well, and instead of enjoying it, you spend your energy scanning the horizon for the disaster you are certain is coming. Because in your experience, this much good always preceded something painful. So your brain treats happiness itself as a state of exposure. You are visible when you are happy. You are invested when you are happy. You have something to lose when you are happy. And having something to lose, to a brain shaped by loss, is the most dangerous state of all. So before life can take it, you take it yourself. You set fire to your own progress, not to destroy yourself, to control the ending. Because an ending you chose hurts less than an ending that chose you. And somewhere in that logic, as painful as it is, there is a kind of love, a protection, directed inward, learned early, offered poorly. There is a particular kind of relief that comes from picking a fight. It is not the relief of resolution. It is not the relief of being right. It is the relief of agency. When you start the argument, you are no longer waiting. You are acting. When you miss the deadline, you are no longer vulnerable to being rejected. You have created a concrete, manageable problem to replace the abstract, unmanageable fear. When you create the mess, you have something to clean up. And cleaning up messes, you know how to do. This is what psychologists call beating life to the punch. The logic beneath the surface goes like this. If I ruin this first, no one can ruin it for me. If I leave first, no one can leave me. If I fail on my own terms, at least I am the author of this story. It is control. Painful, self-defeating, destructive control, but control nonetheless. And for a person who grew up with very little control over their environment, this kind of control, even negative control, feels deeply, chemically satisfying because it provides what chaos never did. Predictability. You know what happens when you pick the fight. You know what happens when you miss the deadline. You know the shape of the aftermath. And knowing the shape of what is coming, even if it is painful, is preferable to sitting in the unbearable tension of not knowing. This is why creating a mess provides temporary relief from existential dread. Because a mess is a task, and a task gives the restless, hypervigilant, danger-scanning mind something concrete to focus on. The dread of happiness has no task. It is formless. It is just waiting. The anxiety of peace has nothing to solve. It is just stillness. And stillness, to a nervous system built for motion, feels like dying. So it moves. Even if moving means backward. There is something nobody talks about when they talk about self-sabotage. Identity. Because the survival mechanism is not only about safety. It is about who you believe you are. If you have spent years, perhaps your entire life, defined by struggle, by resilience, by being the person who carries hard things, then who are you when the hard things stop? This is one of the quietest and most powerful drivers of self-sabotage, the fear that being okay makes you nobody. Because your story, the one you tell yourself and the one others know you by, has always been about surviving something. The difficult childhood, the broken relationship, the financial struggle, the mental health battle. These things were painful, but they were also yours. They gave you depth. They gave you empathy. They gave you something to talk about, something to overcome, something to be seen through. And there is a very specific, very uncomfortable fear that lives underneath self-sabotage. If I am okay, will anyone still care? If I have no wound to show, am I still interesting? Am I still deserving of the love people gave me when I was struggling? Being in crisis generates care. Being in crisis generates connection. Being in crisis gives you permission to receive from others without feeling like a burden. Because being broken is a reason. Being fine has no reason. So the person who does not believe they deserve care without a reason will unconsciously recreate the crisis that gives them permission to need. And there is something even deeper. There is the fear of outgrowing yourself. The version of you that survived, that fought, that endured, that kept going against everything. That version is admirable. That version is strong. That version is known. The new version, the one that is healing, that is stable, that is building something quiet and good, is a stranger. And becoming a stranger to yourself is one of the most disorienting experiences a human being can have. So some people stay, not in the good thing, in the old version of themselves, because at least there, they know who they are. The survival mechanism was built through repetition. Thousands of small moments that taught the nervous system, this is what life is. This is what safety feels like. It changes the same way. Through repetition. Different repetition. Smaller than you think. More consistent than you expect. Strategy 1. Micro doses of stillness. You cannot go from a nervous system calibrated to crisis to a nervous system comfortable with peace in one leap. The gap is too wide. The jump feels too unsafe. But you can close the gap in millimeters. Sit with the good thing for 30 seconds longer than feels comfortable. When the urge to create a problem arises, notice it, name it, and wait. Not forever. 30 seconds, then a minute, then 5. Each time you sit in the discomfort of calm without breaking it, you send a message to your nervous system. We survived the stillness. The calm did not hurt us. We can do this again. This is called expanding your joy container. Not filling it all at once. Stretching it, slowly, deliberately, repeatedly, until it can hold more without triggering the alarm. Strategy 2. Regulated breathing as a reset. When the hypervigilant nervous system activates, when the anxiety of peace arrives and the urge to create chaos builds, the fastest intervention available to you is your breath. Not because breathing fixes the pattern, because breathing interrupts it. Slow exhale, longer than the inhale, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the brain responsible for rest, safety, regulation. 4 counts in, 6 counts out. Free cycles. This does not solve the survival mechanism, but it creates a pause. And in the pause, there is a choice. A small one, but real. Strategy 3. Stability as a skill. Most people treat stability as a state, something you either have or you don't. But stability is a skill. Like any skill, it is built through practice. It feels awkward at first. It improves with repetition. It becomes more natural over time. This means you do not need to already be comfortable with peace to begin practicing it. You begin uncomfortable. You practice anyway. You become less uncomfortable. You practice more. The shift in perspective is this. Stability is not something life gives you when you have finally fixed yourself. It is something you practice while you are still broken. And the practicing, the awkward, uncomfortable, unfamiliar practicing, is the fixing. Strategy 4. Anchoring in the present. The survival mechanism lives in the future. It is always preparing for the disaster that hasn't happened yet. The antidote is not positive thinking. The antidote is presence, not the destination, not the future version of yourself, not the disaster that might be coming. This moment, this conversation, this breath, this room. Ask yourself, right now, in this exact moment, am I safe? Not tomorrow, not next week, not in the abstract future where everything might go wrong. Right now, usually, the answer is yes. And yes, even for a moment, is enough to work with. You are not trying to stop burning the garden forever. You are trying to pause long enough to remember the frost might never come. And even if it does, you have survived frost before. You do not ruin good things because you are broken. You ruin good things because a version of you, younger, more afraid, with far fewer options, learned that good things were dangerous. That peace was a warning. That happiness was exposure. That destroying first hurt less than being destroyed. That was not a flaw. That was the most intelligent response available to the circumstances you were in. But you are not in those circumstances anymore. And the work now, the real work, is not to punish that version of you for what it learned. It is to teach it something new. Slowly, patiently, one moment of survived stillness at a time. You are allowed to want the good thing. You are allowed to let it stay. You are allowed to sit in the quiet without waiting for it to end. Not because you have finally fixed yourself, but because you are finally trying something different. And different, even when it is uncomfortable, is how things change. If this video gave words to something you have been carrying quietly, like this video, subscribe to Psychora, because you are not here by accident. And neither is the good thing you keep trying to destroy. Let it stay.